Os. Hey everybody, welcome to a video discussion. I am here on screen, but I have my buddy Mike from the I Hate Anime podcast, or We Hate Anime podcast, right?
That's right. It's we hate anime.
We hate it.
I hate anime.
He hates anime.
We all hate anime.
I know. One of the things I wanted to mention to you was that a couple weeks ago I tweeted at you. I was like, "Oh, congratulations! You guys became anime." And the thing is that you lived long enough to become what you hate.
Yeah, I mean, really, you don't accomplish anything if you don't become what you hate. So we're in it.
Yep. Anyways, we're not talking about anime today, because we don't like anime.
Anime sucks, dude.
Now we're talking about Marriage Story from two people that are not married.
Exactly. Who best to tell you about marriage and divorce than two single people who hate life?
Life's okay. I was actually telling Terry yesterday. I was like, you know what? It'd be nice if I was crazy, because then I wouldn't have any responsibility.
Being crazy would be pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but anyways, so Marriage Story, Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, we have some other big actor names in the film, but I don't know any of their names.
Even actor names, character names, don't trust me to remember any of them. I can barely remember. The only reason I know Adam Driver's name is because of Star Wars memes.
Right. Star Wars helps a lot with his name. The only character that I know by name is Henry. Is the little boy.
He's such a cute kid in the movie.
I found them a little obnoxious sometimes, but
oh, definitely. They were. I 100% feel you. I really like. I have a nephew. I have two nephews. One that's about his age at the beginning of the movie, and another that's his age towards the end of the movie. And so I see both of them in him. So I'd probably give him a little bit more of a pass.
I see. Yeah, I'm not surrounded by kids too often. But
I mean, that's kind of a good thing,
I guess. But okay, so Marriage Story, what did you think of the movie?
It's an artsy fartsy movie for people who like to smell their own farts.
Pretty much. No, it's an interesting movie. I think that everything is just very calculated in this film. Right down to the very name of the film, like Marriage Story. Oh, what? Okay, this seems a little interesting. You go, oh, the Star Wars guy, and oh, Scarlett Johansson. She's Black Widow? Is that what she's famous for right now?
Yeah, she's famous for Black Widow. Although outside of Black Widow, she is a fantastic actor. I recommend checking out a movie called Under the Skin that she was the lead actor in. That movie's fantastic. It's also on Netflix. Check that out.
She was also on Ghost in the Shell.
She was. We don't talk about that. We hate anime here.
Anyways, no, I right down to the actors that are playing the movie. And then right from the opening scene of the film, we're presented with, these character descriptions of the from the other person about their husband and their wife, and then it's actually very endearing. I
absolutely love the opening scene.
Oh yeah, me too.
You get this candid take of each character from the person who wouldn't be charitable, and even the way that the opening scene ends, where we see what's in each other's note, but they don't actually read it out to each other, and it really conveys how far they've come from these two people that totally love each other but who can't stand each other anymore.
Yeah, well, what I was gonna say was that this is this endearing introduction, and only to realize that, oh shoot, they're separating. So it kind of hits you in the face, like, whoa. And and the reason that we're talking about this movie is because you were talking about it on your podcast, and I had already heard about the movie, but it was you talking about the film itself that was like, oh, I'm gonna go check this out.
Yeah, no, I am I'm a really big film boy. Like, I have a lot of tastes outside of anime. I mean, after all, I do hate it. That is a meme I will not say any longer because memes get stale. Film is one of those things, though, that I pretty much like come from. I did theater in school. I've watched way more movies than I have anime, and I just have an eye for cinematography and directing and acting that people who watch anime don't really have. People who watch anime aren't that critical. Let's be honest here. So whenever a movie comes out and it's getting any amount of hype, I want to check it out, and I want to give it an honest go. And when I heard, actually, funnily enough, a podcast, what was it? The podcast with We Hate Everything and Adam from Your Movie Sucks. I forget what the name of the podcast off the top of my head.
I don't know.
Sardonic Cast. It's Sardonic Cast.
Okay.
They did an episode on it, and Adam, famously, who is critical of everything and gives things low scores, was like, this Netflix movie is amazing and it's one of my favorite movies of the year. And I was like, bet. And I checked it out, and lo and behold, it's definitely one of my favorite movies of last year.
It was pretty good. It's just one of those movies though. It's a little bit difficult to recommend to to married people specifically. I was talking to a guy at work, and then I was like, I had just finished watching the movie, so I mentioned it, and he was like, I don't know, I don't want to watch that, and I was like, I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, this isn't a movie that I would recommend to everyone. I would legitimately only recommend it to people who are either have went through, the divorce process, or people who just enjoy cinema in the artsy way, I wouldn't, if anyone's like saw this movie and saw Adam Driver's in it, was like, I like the Star Wars, I would say you shouldn't watch this movie. You will think it is very boring, sir.
I like the Star Wars. Okay. Funny that you mentioned it. In the opening scene where he is, he's describing, his wife. The very first parts where he's talking, I cannot unpicture Kylo Ren. Like it goes away. It goes away, but at least like the very opening where he starts talking, I'm just imagining that Saturday Night Live skit where he's like undercover boss.
Oh, I love that skit. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Adam Driver is such a great actor.
Yeah, I want to watch his TED Talk after watching this film.
Ooh, I didn't know he had a TED Talk. I'll watch that too.
Yeah, it's a TED Talk on the on him being a Marine and going to become an actor afterwards.
Wow, I didn't know he used to be a Marine. That's dope.
I thought you mentioned it in the podcast. Anyways, but yeah, it's like it's on YouTube. All right, so shoot, where do we go from here? Okay, so we talked about the opening scene. There's
I think after shortly, I mean, the next scene that I really enjoy actually is it's right after the dinner that they have after Adam Driver's play's final performance before going to Broadway. They both leave early, and they get home. And Adam Driver is there's a moment where during the performance you see him writing down, and it's established that what he likes to do is he writes notes to give to his actors even after their final performances, because he's a director, it's in his blood to like correct people to make the performance better. So he's written down notes for his wife, but she's kind of in the process of
Leaving.
considering leaving him, and it doesn't want to really engage with that. So he accepts the fact that he has the notes, and she, knowing him, is like, you have some notes for me, don't you? And he's like, oh, no, I mean, yeah. Well, okay, I mean, I have these notes right here, and blah, blah, blah. In the last scene, you really, you tried to force the emotion, and I could tell, and, it wasn't very good. And she's like, oh, well, I have issues expressing emotions when I'm acting. I thought I could do it tonight, but I just couldn't. And he's like, oh, okay, well, those are the notes. Have a good night.
Yeah.
And after she says goodnight to him, she turns away. She's out of eye shot of him. Immediately, she starts breaking down. I love this scene because it just through this small little interaction, you can tell that she is playing up. Not playing up. She's hiding how she really feels about the whole situation. Because, like she said, and like Adam Driver knows, when she's performing, she can't cry. Mm-hmm. Like, it's something that she can't do. But immediately, as soon as no one's looking, breaks down. It's such a great scene. And then it transitions like a week later to them being in California. It's I love that scene. It's so small, so subtle, and you would totally miss it. I only caught it on the second watch. It's so good.
Yeah, I did miss it because I was like, wait, that happened?
Yeah. No. There's so much. This movie is pretty packed tight with moments like that. It's a very character-driven film. Like, the narrative is not the reason why you watch it, because I agree. It's about a divorce.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to add to what you were saying. Is just like, even as I was saying with the intro, is like there are things that are mentioned in the introduction as they're introducing these characters in an endearing way, mm-hmm. that play into their characters during the divorce process. It's like, mm-hmm. we establish these characters here at the very beginning where they seem really extremely likable. And then we'll see how that actually turns into, like it'll show us their negative sides,
Yeah, no, it's a really well put together film.
Yeah, and everything just plays off of each other. It's like it's kind of like that thing where you're setting up a joke, and every little thing just kind of plays off of each other until you hit the punchline.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the same thing here, but the punchline is a divorce.
Yeah. Whackity schmackity, oh god, I'm crying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I in that way, I just, you gotta commend the film. But everyone is everyone who's seen it, anyways. No. Yeah. So I guess the next scene that I want to talk about is where after she's in LA. She goes into her trailer, and this woman approaches her, and she goes, "Hey, you need to go see this lawyer." She goes, well, we talked about not, mm-hmm. Not getting lawyers involved. It was like, trust me, it's gonna change your life, and it was like in that moment with that scene specifically, it already kind of hints that this is bad news.
Mm-hmm. And even more so, we see later in the film when Adam Driver is looking for a lawyer in L.A. Mm-hmm. There's I guess, because I'm not familiar with this personally, but I guess there's some kind of law against lawyers representing people who they've already met with someone that they're going to be going against in court. Mm-hmm. Might be just specific to divorce proceedings. I'm not sure. Lawyers rise up and let us know. But earlier in that trailer scene, she even establishes, hey, my sister made me see some lawyers. I don't want to do it this way. So even they've already peppered in these little things in there, so that later in the movie, whenever Adam Driver gets rejected by every lawyer that he goes and sees, you can really see that the system is totally set against him. It's really disheartening.
Yeah, definitely. But with that, let's talk about Nora.
Oh God. Nora. She'll give you a copy of her book on the way out. Jesus Christ. I've never seen a more predatory human being than I have in Nora. It's so gross.
Ah, man, yeah, and she walked right into her hand, like, oh man, yeah, and then like, from the very, like, oh yeah, I seen you in New York. I thought you were fantastic. Like, just buttering her up. Like, oh yeah, this is a client. I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna make her sit down, and she's so heartless about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And whenever ScarJo's breaking down, she Nora's the lawyer, by the by.
mhm.
Whenever ScarJo breaks down, she I'm gonna act like just her, like I'm gonna act like a girlfriend. So she jumps on the couch right next to her, kicks off her shoes, and is like, "Oh, sweetie, just tell me what's going on." And it's like, "Oh my god, you monster!"
Yeah, yeah, and then, man, and she tells her story. And it's a pretty sympathetic story from ScarJo. You can see from her story about how she got here.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I didn't really like, though, was because it didn't. I feel like there weren't any hints prior to this. But that she finishes her story, like she's like, yes, I love this guy. I fell in love with him. We got married. And now I don't feel like I love him. Oh, and I think he cheated on me. I didn't really like that, but then and then because I was watching this movie in chunks. I was watching a little bit, and then I would go back to work, and then during my next break I would go and continue watching the movie, and
Yeah, it's a pretty long movie.
that too. So that first day, like, I seen that part, and then like the next day, I was kind of like, I was like ranting about it to Terry. I was like, well, apparently she thinks he cheated, and there's like, where did that come from? But then yeah, it turns out that he cheated.
They do try to establish it, because a lot of the establishing bits are small, and they're easy to miss. So if you remember back to that dinner scene early on, the woman that goes up to him that causes ScarJo to storm out was that woman that he supposedly cheated on.
Yeah.
So it kind of sets in that she was suspecting it then, but like, again, it's one of those things you might kind of see and like, oh, okay, maybe she's just jealous. But like, if you have the whole context of the movie and you see that scene again, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
I like movies like that, movies that you can get things out of the second time you watch it. But at the same time, I do feel like they could have established that better, because it just kind of seems like venting when it happens.
It feels very small and maybe a little bit petty in that moment. But because, like I said, it just kind of came out of left field for me. But
let's talk about, that might be the case. But man, ScarJo's acting in that scene is like phenomenal. The way she gets up and paces the room, and she's like, it really, I don't know. Scarlett Johansson is really great in this movie. Adam Driver's the standout, obviously, because he gets most of the screen time. But despite like the bullshittery of the situation, ScarJo has a really good performance in this movie.
Oh yeah, no, I loved her. It was like her acting specifically. It was just like her being this character. I have there's this problem with that I have with like these big name actors. Seeing them, that I can't. I feel like they become a little bit larger than life in some senses, and I cannot see them past the person they are. An example of this is Will Smith and Ben Affleck.
Oh, yeah.
The entire time I was watching Batflick, I couldn't see Bruce Wayne. I saw Ben Affleck, and the same thing with Will Smith in that Suicide Squad movie. I was like, that's Will Smith wearing a costume. But
Yep.
she does such a great job of getting becoming this character, becoming this mom and this wife that is just uncertain and almost shattering on the inside, because her life is coming apart, and she's kind of like like at the center of it. Well, she is in the center of it.
Yeah, she's dealing with the fact that like she has felt like she hasn't had a life to control for years, because they've been together. I think it was close to 10 years. I don't remember the exact number, but like she's coming to terms with that, and she's trying to find herself. And you really you can tell just by looking at the way she, like the look in her eyes, you can tell how lost she is. Like that scene where she argues with Adam Driver over the phone.
Yes.
That's a fantastic scene.
Are we talking about the one where she's at the LA
Halloween
party?
party?
Oh,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that the one where afterwards she goes and makes out with that guy and gets maybe a little finger action.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that scene. Yeah. What were you saying about that?
I was gonna say, you could really tell how, like, just from the look in her eyes, like, she doesn't know what she's doing. She feels like she's lost control, and she's trying to reestablish that control over her life. And then she sees that grip from the movie, from the TV show that she's working on, and she's like, you know what? I have control over this situation. Let's fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So let's transition over to Adam Driver in this situation, because while all of this is going on for ScarJo's character, he seemed like for like a good chunk of the movie he's oblivious to what is going on. He thinks that like and like throughout the entirety of the film, he's just like he is so convinced that things weren't supposed to go this way. He thought that she was just gonna go do this pilot, she was gonna return, they were gonna work on their problems, and that they were going to be a New York family. And she was like, she kind of grabbed control in her effort to become her own person. And Adam Driver is just like very slow to catching up to what is actually happening.
And as someone that I went through a divorce when I was young, that is really common. Whenever one person doesn't see an issue and they're really stubborn about it, it takes a long time for them to come to terms with the fact that things are changing. And honestly, a lot of the issues that led to this divorce had to do with Adam Driver being in the relationship selfishly more about what he's comfortable with than considering what Scarlett Johansson's character wanted. Which, I mean, that does not forgive the kangaroo court that happens later in the movie, but like,
that was a real shitstorm.
It's really like, this movie 100% is about people who love each other, who like are both selfish, and that's what humans are. It's a movie about like the human condition, as like fart smelly as that sounds.
I like the way you phrase that. Yeah, definitely. But yeah. So that scene that you're talking about in the Halloween party, it just God, man, like from his side,
not only like that scene, but also the scene leading up to it when he's trying to enjoy Halloween with his son.
Oh, dude, it's so heartbreaking. He's sitting there on the couch, dressed up as the Invisible Man. His son has no interest in participating in his version of Halloween. He forces him out there because he's like, well, you're my kid, I want to spend time with you. And his kid, like, he's tired. His mom took out all his energy. So they make it happen. And he goes home, and I don't remember what his son tells him, but it's finally what kind of clicks with him. He's like, where he finally calls her up, and I'm like, what is going on here? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's so raw and very real, that scene. not only like the conversation, but like that whole, I lived that situation. I've had 2 different holidays, and it sucks. Like you say, like eventually, like families who go through the divorces, eventually they usually decide, well, our Halloween's on this day and you can have Halloween on that day, and then the argument of, well, we're having Halloween on, that's not Halloween, ensues, and it's a bloodbath. Like it's so stressful in a torn up household, for the children and for the parents. It's this movie pretty much has the whole, it's Marriage Story. It has the whole thing, and then that conversation, like many conversations in the movie between Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson's character, are like heart shattering and really real, and it shows how much these two characters just don't understand each other and also know each other so well.
Mm-hmm. I think that was beautifully put. Knowing each other and not knowing each other. Yeah.
And then you get like the next big fight scene, which is it takes place after they go to court. And in court, Adam Driver has he had like a dumpy lawyer at first, and he was a kind of cute old man. But the cute old man wasn't going to get him anything in the divorce. He was just going to be passive. So,
as he puts it, I needed my own asshole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he got the asshole, and the absolute terror that takes place in that courtroom between
the lawyers.
2 lawyers.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like the two of them are sitting kind of like next to, well, they're sitting next to their lawyers, but they're, for the majority of the scene, it's not even about them. Like the conversation at hand is about them, but they're not in control of the situation. Like it is just two lawyers just like, you know,
trying to win.
Yeah, like just 2 gladiators just hitting it.
It really shows how like the system of law that we have in place is basically a show that the lawyers put on for the judge so that the judge can make a decision, and they'll just say whatever they can to win. It's like watching 2 gladiators fight while some guy in a wig looks at them and like does a thumbs up or thumbs down depending on who argued about which is the worst parent.
Right. And it's like, it's really unfair because it's like, you know, they love each other. They love each other. Yes, they love each other. And they know that, like, you could just see it in their faces. Like, oh, fuck, I kind of wish he didn't say that. Oh man, I wish he, like, I don't actually feel that way. Or yeah,
they're looking at each other the whole time, and it's like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But before that, there's the scene where before all of this, before Adam Driver got his asshole, you know, that scene where he's meeting that lawyer specifically for the first time, and he's just like kind of like hammering down like, oh shoot, she got Nora, man, this is gonna be tough. And he's like looking at his information, and you know, Adam Driver's character is just like, but, you know, she said we weren't going to get lawyers. Oh, it should be more amicable. You know, it's not going to, like, no. It's not going to be this. It's not. And then, like, the lawyer's like, get your head out of your ass. This is the way it's going to be. And he was like, yeah, I don't like him. But, like, but it was that scene right there that, like, I was like, I had to turn off the film. I was like, I can't watch this right now.
Yeah, the whole system it just turns people into monsters.
Yeah, makes you really uncomfortable.
And then it leads to like that fight they have in Adam Driver's apartment that he got in LA. Mm-hmm. That's like that fight. People made fun of that fight on Twitter, and those people don't. Yeah, like people look at that fight, looked at that fight out of context of the whole movie, out of context of who these characters are, and we're like, oh man, the acting looks so fake, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, that scene is the best scene in the film.
Definitely, like the whole, like, Adam Driver's slowly boiling rage at being on the underside. And Scarlett Johansson, and also, like, that scene also reveals, like,
he was like, you're winning, and he's like, what do you mean I'm winning? It's like, I want her to be married, And like
Mm-hmm.
this whole concept is not a win-win or for anybody.
It really shows how even though Adam Driver is losing and everything's stacked against him, he's still like in that stubborn mindset of who's gonna win and who's gonna lose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those scenes that goes far
it's
into,
his
you know,
competitive
really
nature. It's his competitive nature that's
exactly,
shown during the intro scene where they're talking about playing
exactly.
board games. Yeah, like he's there like I have some quotes here from this film. But can finish your thought if you will.
I was gonna say, you know, the movie goes to lengths to show you that both of these people are not perfect, but they are still good people. And that scene really showcases, because a lot of the leading up to that scene is looking at Adam Driver and the bull crap that he has to deal with, and then in that scene, that showing that selfishness comes back out, and it reminds you, hey, you know, not everyone is right in this situation.
Right. Um, yeah. So one of my favorite line during this entire argument is from Adam Driver's character. He's like, you'll never be happy in L.A. or anywhere. You'll think you found some better opposite guy than me, and in a few years you'll rebel against him because you need to have your voice. But you don't want a voice. You just want to fucking complain about not having a voice. That scene was just too raw. It felt too real from everything that we've seen from
Mm-hmm.
Scarlett Johansson's character up until this point. Because you
Mm-hmm.
do see that, like, when she's in the office with Nora, meeting her for the first time, and she's talking about this ex that she was with, and like that she was like, she was joyless. She felt that she was like a walking corpse, and then like meeting Adam's character, um and feeling that like that hindrance of life again, and they married, and then slowly she felt bogged down, and then just like and I'm not saying it to attack her character, but it was just like it feels just something that's too real, where like oftentimes people just get really caught up in the situation of the excitement of something new,
Mm-hmm.
and then it new
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
last, and it becomes normal after a while, and it's like, well, you know
yeah. Like you look at Scarlett, like in particular, you know, Scarlett Johansson's character. She has for most of her life been led around by people who are, you know, more opinionated and more controlling than her. You know, her mother, like when they move into to her mother's house, and the first thing their mother's like, if you live in my house, you wake up at 6:30, no exceptions.
right.
Like she's lived this super structured life, and she has been going from, you know, different structures of control, and I can totally see where Adam Driver's character would see that and think, you know, this is just the way you are. You rebel against one, your mother, come to me, then you rebel against me. I genuinely hope that because this movie does not have like a rosy everything's gonna be all right. I mean, kind of does, but not like a Hollywood ending. I really hope that she finds herself. And I realize it's a character that doesn't exist, so who she could become a space scientist for all we know.
Hmm.
But I genuinely want her to have control over her life, because it, if not, then it proves Adam Driver correct, and that thing he said is kind of like really, oh, it's so raw and like attacking. Like that scene has so many jabs from him to her, even to the point where after he says, I hope you die in such a way that my son is okay, but you get a disease and then hit by a car. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, that was way overboard. But man, like like those words that he says though, like it again, it's just like I find it baffling though that you said that people on Twitter made fun of this scene, because it's like this is real shit right here. This is
Mm-hmm.
like, I've done these things. I've hit the wall. I've screamed relentlessly at my significant other. It's like, it's fighting. These things happen, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the only way someone could see the scene and think like, oh, this acting's over the top, they either have a really great life or they only watch anime, and, and they think, oh, this is mundane, where's the fireballs?
Right. Yeah, I mean, dude, I the same way when he broke down crying, like it was like, and he was the one that broke down crying. It wasn't her. Um, like yeah, I've done that too, and it's weird. It like in that moment you're so mad, you're angry, you're on the floor, you're bawling, and the person that you're fighting with is, they're in much more control than you are. It like as a male, you feel very what's the word, emasculate.
Yeah, emasculated.
Yeah, like but it's just like, again, these are human characters that we're watching on screen. These are like people that
they feel like real ass people.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And you not that many people, like not that many movies, like you were talking about earlier, like Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith, when he's in a movie, is Will Smith. Like when you see Will Smith on screen, and I can't even think of a movie where he had to try to not be Will Smith. Even though he's been in good movies, like 7 Pounds is a pretty alright movie.
Mm-hmm. No, he's a good actor. Like, there's no taking that away from him. But he's definitely a very specific type of actor.
There are actors that become their characters, and then there are actors who are characters. And this movie is the first.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so, the acting is, I can't say enough. Like I know they got nominated in the Golden Globes. Honestly, like, even though the Oscars I don't think like recognizes Netflix, that I feel like it deserves at least an Oscar for best performance from Adam Driver, definitely, but even ScarJo would be a good option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely, you both deserve it. I mean, Adam Driver definitely deserves it after having to be in those Star Wars movies.
Like John Boyega too, man. Come on. Yeah.
I mean,
our
really,
prince,
all
our
of
Dark
them.
Prince.
Yeah. Oh man, I just love that scene where he's being interviewed and he goes, "I was like, you're not gonna Disney Plus me."
Oh, dude, I mean, a while back he posted to Instagram, John Boyega, a video of him dancing, and as he's dancing, the anti John Boyega comments just pop up on screen, and he bats them away. It's so funny.
I gotta look that up later. But yeah, what?
I was gonna say, this movie is so fantastic, and the ending scene. I don't know if you have much more to say. The ending scene,
well, I just
definitely needs to be touched on.
I wanted to wrap up on the fight scene.
Okay.
He's on the floor crying. Scarlett Johansson's character just, realizes, like, fuck, like, we went too far. Like,
yeah,
and it was like, I thought it was really sweet of her that she just, like, she went over there and just, like, started comforting him, because yeah, of course he's a wounded animal. He's on, like his life just turned upside down because, essentially, not. I don't even blame Scarlett Johansson's character. It's really the lawyers, the ones that, like, really fucked his life.
Yeah, definitely.
He's like,
and ScarJo in that scene, going back to how, like, she can't show, like, real, like,
emotion.
She can't cry whenever she's acting. You can tell she's keeping up a front in that scene. She has tears in her eyes, and she almost looks like she's gonna swing on him, and then he breaks down, and it just drains all that out of her. And you could tell you could tell she wants to cry along with him. Like, it's gone too far.
Yeah, definitely. And she walks up to him, and she rubs his back, and then he grabs her, hugs her legs, and he's like, "I'm sorry," and she goes, "Yeah, me too." It was just like, I thought it was just, like, the perfect way to end that scene.
Yeah, that scene is it's such a powder keg of emotions. The only way, like, if this was a bad Hollywood movie, it would have ended in like an actual fight between them, and it would have been awful. But this is like the realest way that that type of situation ends. One person breaks down, the other person realizes this situation's gone too far, and they try and comfort each other even though they can't stand each other.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So the ending scene. The ending scene.
I I love the ending scene because it does something. It brings it back to the beginning of the
Well,
movie
well,
in a really
well.
nice way.
Okay, so you're talking about specifically where he's reading the oh well where their son is reading the
Hmm.
letter that she wrote.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make
So
sure.
that's good. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So Adam Driver come. It's Halloween again. And Adam Driver comes to. I think he's living in L.A. in that point. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. He
And
does. He says at the end of the film that he got picked up by some company or something, so he decided to
mhm.
come out here.
Okay. So yeah, he's coming though to spend Halloween with his ex and his son, and he
The new
goes to get
boyfriend.
his yeah, and he goes to get his son, to get him ready to go out trick or treating, and he's sitting there, and he's reading the note that ScarJo had wrote about Adam Driver's character at the beginning of the movie, and I like this scene on two different levels. First, um, she held on to that letter. Like those words she said at the beginning of the movie, she didn't like what she wrote. She meant every word of it.
Hmm.
Like she loves him, and Adam Driver finally gets to see that, even though the situation, like, because let's face it, by the end of the movie, the situation really fucked Adam Driver over. Um, and he finally gets to read the words that she wrote, and there's even a funny bit where he's reading it to his son because his son finds it. He's learning how to read, and he can't read all the words, so Adam Driver reads for him. And he gets the part where he talks about his past with alcoholism, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna skip over that, so I'm not gonna tell you that." It's like a cute little moment ending in like he sees the like he sees how she really feels, and she's just in the background having heard him reading it and is also crying, and you can tell she means it, because if she didn't, I feel like she would storm in there and take the note away.
Hmm. Yeah.
Eh,
I almost kind of was waiting for that moment.
mhm.
Where it's just like, what are you doing? This is, my personal stuff. Um, because it's just like, I don't. At the
The
moment that
movie kind of like makes you
think that that's gonna
demonize
happen.
her a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. I well, I was, what I was, yeah. God, dang it, Mike! You made me lose my train of thought.
Might be.
Yeah. Yeah. So I I think it just gives final resolution to their struggle in general. It's just
Mhm.
like the ending scene really does just show that both of these characters are moved past the drama that was their divorce. And they're just kind of like, well, we have our son, and like
Mhm.
we're here.
Yeah, it's such a touching like note, because they in trick or treating. Adam Driver was dressed up in a sheet with eyes cut out of it because he didn't show up with a costume,
All
and
right.
everyone else was dressed up like the Beatles.
Yeah.
And his son's just on the sidewalk tired, and his ex wife walks up to him. He's like, you know what? It's my night, but why don't you go ahead and take him? He's tuckered out. He's not going to want to come to dinner.
I love that.
And
I love that.
it's it's so great. And then he's like, okay, yeah, sure. Picks him up and is walking off. And she happens to notice that his shoelaces are untied, so she walks over and ties him for him.
Mhm.
And it's like, that is perfect. Like, these people still love each other. They're just terrible together, and it's really showcased that, like, because I've had a lot of relationships, and the ones that end well, I'm still like that with them.
Mhm.
And I feel like that it's really good showcase of that, and it's also why I feel like a lot of people won't like feel this movie, because there's not like a big, oh, the court case is over moment, yay. It's no, it's just really subtle ending for these two people that are humans.
Well, yeah, I specifically love the moment where he's like, well, it's your night, and she goes, yeah, but he's not gonna want to come to dinner, like he's really tuckered out. I love that specifically because it just really shows that there was a plan to be amicable, that they were gonna just separate. It's just that like lawyers got involved and just fucked everything up, but it's just like, yeah, like both of them could work things out okay. And I know I'm so focused on the lawyers part because I just feel like that's the most traumatizing part about this entire film.
Oh, definitely. Like lawyers are, their job is to get money to help people like break out of situations, and they can be so conniving and ruthless and awful. And specifically the lawyers that we see, specifically Nora. I just want to say at the end here, fuck Nora. Jesus Christ, this monstrous creature of a human being, this lizard man with blonde hair. Fuck. But yeah, like it's such a great movie, and I hope that more people, because it's on Netflix, like, give it a shot. Even if it may not be for you, you can say you tried it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a special type of film. But no, nonetheless, I really like it. Terry and I were gonna sit down and watch it, but we just haven't gotten around to doing it. I was kind of hoping we would do it this past weekend so that I would have my second rewatch for this podcast. But no biggie.
It's all good. I was only able, like, I sat down to rewatch the movie in total, and I was like, man, I can't. I had to watch clips to remind myself, because like I couldn't sit through the whole thing. Not because it's bad, because it's like, wow, this is soul wrenching.
Definitely, yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it, right? Final thoughts.
I love this movie. It is not anime, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Not all not anime is bad, just like not all anime is bad.
Well, my channel is not really anime centered, so that's...
Well, there you go. Hey, maybe this means I get to branch out and stop talking about how much I hate anime. I hate anime.
Yeah. So, do you want to actually explain that you actually do like anime? Because
yeah,
sure. you have a podcast called I Hate Anime, and when I tried recommending it to somebody, they were like,
So I'm English Mike. My podcast is We Hate Anime. You can watch it on Spotify. You can watch it on Google Play. You can watch it on Apple, iTunes, and on YouTube.
That's where I watch it.
I do in fact enjoy anime much more than both of my co-hosts. One of whom dislikes anything with boobs, and the other one, who doesn't talk as much as he should. And I'm gonna beat him for it.
All right. Yeah. So
yeah, domestic violence. That's the theme of the next episode.
Oh, is it? When's that episode coming out?
On the, let's see, today's the 22nd as we're recording this. The next episode will be out on the 25th, so this Saturday, when we release every other Saturday.
Every other Saturday. Okay, cool. I don't know when I'm gonna get this up. It shouldn't be too hard to edit it because I don't plan on doing any cuts. But yeah, so hopefully I can get this up on Friday or something, and just in time for people to check out the next episode.
Hey, nice.
Yeah. Oh, and then I guess just to kind of like throw a little I don't know, a little sneak peek thing. I don't know. Anyways, I watched Weathering with You. I watched Weathering with You this yesterday, and I asked Mike if I could be on his podcast, so I will be there whenever that gets recorded.
Yeah, as soon as someone uploads a decent rip of it to a legal theater, I'll force the guys on the podcast to watch it, and we're gonna sit down and have a conversation about it.
Cool. Yeah,
I've already talked with him about it, so you aren't forcing nothing. It's definitely gonna happen.
Awesome. I didn't even think that I was trying to do that, but I can see why it would look that way. Anyways, I'll talk to all of you guys later. Bye, ciao.
Peace. Thanks for having me, Cap.
Later, man.